The Financial Services Commission is, I would say, centrally involved with all the work that is surrounding the virtual assets. The fact is that as regulators, we couldn't ignore first the fact that these technologies, these emerging technologies are here and are coming fast to Mauritius. And we also found through a number of statistics that lots of Mauritians are involved. So what do you do in such an instance? Either you let things happen or you intervene to ensure that our duties as the protector of the end customers, we at least fulfill that. So we have over the past adopted a very pragmatic approach, I would say an approach where we let innovation happen, we don't stifle it, but at the same time we ensure that things go on in a very regulated manner. And when it came to virtual assets, it was one of the biggest steps that we needed to take from the domain of normal fintech, I would say non-crypto related fintech. And that required careful planning, and we were therefore involved in the drafting of the Virtual Assets and Initial Token Offering Services Act, which was with the help of the World Bank. And that piece of legislation was quite a breakthrough with respect to what could be done. It is very much close to what the industry wants. We listened a lot and we were able to put, as a regulator, the responsibility now to enforce that law rests with us.
I have to ask you this question. Being centrally involved with the virtual assets industry,
yeah.
And you just mentioned beyond the cryptocurrency sphere of the whole industry, the regulations is not a one-size-fits-all. This is where the breakthrough came in. And I think it's probably one of the biggest projects you had to undertake in terms of setting the regulations for a proper robust jurisdiction in Mauritius. So was it very hard for the FSC to come forward? Because we're the first movers in the region, if I may put it this way.
Yeah. If you take it as a snapshot of time, that this is the date where the writers came in, it would look like hard. But actually, if you go back into the timeline, you will see that the FSC was involved in what we call, in 2018, there was a blueprint, and we spelled out basically the track for fintech to evolve. And in those days, there were the regulatory sandbox license. So the experience was gradual, but was in the right direction. That's why I mentioned there was a step to take. Now, coming to the central part of your question is whether it was hard. Yes, it was hard not from the technology side, but it was hard from the persuasion and the perception of people with respect to the virtual assets. I come from a larger regulatory domain, which is the central bank, and was also involved in those crypto currency discussions. So we all knew that the day it comes, it will be a change in mindset. The fact that these cryptos were already had been given a bad tag with respect to lots of money laundering or the use of the dark web. So that perception had to be changed. So the harder side was with respect to how now you come to the people, you convince your stakeholders, you convince the government that we are moving in this domain, but yet it will not be volatile. People will not basically be crying for the money overnight. And then we came out with lots of literacy and discussions around.
Thakoor, quick question. What's your reaction to Wakanda organizing this event, this second summit for the second consecutive year?
I think it's just good appreciation. First is that it is hard to organize the first summit. It is harder to keep it, to organize it annually. And from the point when international players will put it on their calendar that they need to attend such a summit in Mauritius, it already is a breakthrough. And that's why I mentioned that such summits, not necessarily Wakanda, it could be many more, they complement the work of the government and the regulator. And this is what synergy is required for us to be in the top list of such destinations.
Last question, I promise I will not bother you more. I know you have to go. You have many commitments during the day. From the point of view of a regulator, where do you see all of this going, let's say in the medium term, 1 year, or in the long term, 3 to 5 years, especially for the virtual assets industry?
Where do I see what?
Where do you see it going forward? How do you see the future with this? It's from a regulatory point of view.
I think let us look at the industry itself. The regulator basically follows what the industry wants, doesn't want. The blockchain side of the technology will necessarily accompany most of the emerging use cases of finance. We already say them. Blockchain has nothing to do with respect to the crypto side of it. It is a clean, neat technology, and it basically reduces the work. You don't need networks, it is already a network, it is distributed, etc. So that part will have a very big impact. The smart contracts also is an area where automation will bring. So from a regulator, I see that it is here to stay, it will move in the direction, and we might see, and that's important, we might see convergence of some big domains. Already we have got securities, the traditional security and the stock market, and then we will have the parallel trading with respect to virtual assets which might be securities. So the links are here. I don't see long when those will be traded on the same platform, different aspects, and then perhaps also mingled.
So that really sounds very promising for Mauritius, but also for the virtual assets industry.
Yeah.
Mr. Thakoor, thank you very much for your time.
Pleasure.
And all the best going forward.
Thank you. Thank you very much.